Today we're chatting with Jaime Jo Wright about her latest book, Echoes Among the Stones. Thank you very much for joining me today, Jamie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Your books are so detailed that I had to create a map of following Aggie to Wisconsin, where she meets grandma and gets a job. And there's lots of mysteries. Meanwhile, in 1946, um, anyway, it does look like a really bad football play, is what it
Actually, I kind of need that. I want to frame that and put that in my office. That's great.
um, but I think that's why we love your work. Is first off, there's a lot of detail in the mysteries,
Mhm.
and so that keeps you engaged. But I love the fact that there's two timelines, um, and that's something that you've sort of become known for.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea for this book?
That one is a near and dear to my heart. In fact, my grandma actually has a cameo in that book. I've always loved the era of World War II, but also my grandma taught me so much about the post-war era. So when I started writing Echoes Among the Stones, that was kind of the setting that I wanted to put it in. And she's Lola, by the way, in the book. That's my grandmother's name. And the place where a lot of the mystery takes place, which is the ammunition plant, is actually a real place. It's located about 20 minutes from my house, and so a lot of the statistics and the historical elements of the ammunition plants are 100% based on history. So I wanted to build around that, and there's lots of lore around the ammunition plant as it is anyway. So
Beyond your grandmother
yeah.
Lola appearing in this, do you find that when you're writing, a lot of the characters at least are pulled from people you know, in some sense, even if it's not the name, it's not exactly them, but nonetheless, people rub off on you, and you're sort of like,
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that there's a little piece of somebody in every character. But there are some that are specifically like my Lola character. And actually, Oliver or Ollie in the book was based on my grandpa who was in the war. And so there's some overt ones like those two. And then, Aggie, for example, is really just mostly on my imagination, probably little bits and pieces of people I know.
yeah. Besides my putting my silly map aside, how do you keep the continuity all in your mind? Because it is so detailed, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Well, thank you.
You can go back and kind of read the same section and go, oh, wow, there's a lot of nuggets here. How do you keep track of all of
I don't know.
that?
I would love to say that I have spreadsheets and this great form of organization. It really is mostly I type and I see stories in my head like you would watch a movie. So
Mhm.
I feel like I watch the movie many, many times and catch the little nuances. Then as I'm writing, I have a just a basic journal. And anything that might be a loose thread that needs to get connected at some point, I just write it down like, you know, there were shoes missing, in
Right.
Echoes Among the Stones. Shoes were missing. When I wrote that, I didn't know why. I just wrote it out, so I knew I had to somehow bring that to fruition at some point in the book. So I wrote it down as a detail to complete. So I kind of have a book of loose strings, I call it, and that's pretty much all I do.
Well, in a sense, that's your spreadsheet.
It is,
These notes of things that you
yeah.
bring back into it. Um, were you influenced by any particular writer or writers when you first started taking up writing yourself?
Oh gosh, of all, I've been an avid reader since I was a kid. So I've been influenced by the classics. My favorite writer is Nathaniel Hawthorne. I devoured The House of Seven Gables as a middle schooler. I also love Dickens and the Bronte sisters. So the classics, obviously, especially that Gothic element, are very heavy influencers. But as far as contemporary authors of today, Colleen Coble has been not only just a dear friend, but she's also been a mentor to me. And she's influenced a lot of my writing. She's taught me many things. And then the entire world of the Christian book industry is so knitted together that it's just a helpful industry. So there's so many authors out there that are pivotal in helping me grow as a writer.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree that it's a close knit family in a
It
sense.
is. It is.
Um, when it comes to writing a book like this, what kind of
Mhm,
reaction have you been receiving? You're a Christie Award winner now,
mhm.
obviously. There's favorable response, but
Yeah.
what have you heard directly from the people who have been reading your books?
There's been some mixed responses. Most of them are positive. What's interesting to me is most of the feedback that I actually get where somebody takes time to write an email or a letter has been connecting with the personal struggles of the characters in the books and not even so much the mystery. So, for example, Aggie, I got a couple of emails from some people who had, it surprised me actually and blessed me. They've been really struggling with the loss of someone close to them. And I had one individual email me, and she was just like, reading this book just gave me so many ways and insights into how to bring my before the Lord and be able to reconcile it, but also not feel like I had to get rid of it. I think sometimes people feel they need to get rid of the grief, and that's the only way to heal. And that's the grief is there for a reason. And so that's been some of the feedback. I've gotten some feedback from people who are like, well, I thought this was going to be a ghost story and a mystery, and then you threw Jesus in. And so they weren't super happy
Yeah.
about that.
Well,
But
I mean, I guess when it comes
well, I'm
to,
not going to apologize for that.
no, and you're going to get response all over the place. That's just the way it is. Everybody
Right,
has their personal taste when it comes to fiction.
correct.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I'll let you get back to what looks like beautiful weather out there today. And I
It is.
appreciate your time talking about Echoes Among the Stones.
Thank you so much.